What do you do when the family that is supposed to be your support becomes your biggest enemy? Emily, a 28-year-old from a small town in Texas, decided to break the cycle of toxic Thanksgiving celebrations. But when she broke with tradition, her family unleashed a real war. Emily Harris gripped the steering wheel of her beat-up pickup truck as she rolled down the dusty highway toward Kerrville, Texas. The 28-year-old graphic designer from Austin had one goal this Thanksgiving: survive her family's chaos without losing her cool. For the past year, she'd been working on herself, therapy, boundary setting, learning to let go of the need to please everyone. She'd finally started to feel like her own person, not the family fixer she'd been molded into. But as the familiar silhouette of her parents' old ranch house came into view, a knot tightened in her stomach. Could she really pull this off? The house smelled like overcooked pumpkin pie and tension the second she stepped inside. Her mom, Rita, was in the kitchen, barking orders like a drill sergeant. "Emily, thank God you're here. Grab the turkey, your brother's already messing it up," she snapped, barely glancing up from the stove. Emily peeked into the living room, where her 32-year-old brother, Tyler, sprawled on the couch with a beer, scrolling his phone. Well, the city princess graces us with her presence," he smirked without looking up. "What, no fancy Austin job keeping you busy?" Emily bit her tongue. She'd promised herself she wouldn't take the bait, not this year. Hanging her coat, she braced herself and stepped into the dining room, where the usual suspects were already gathered. Aunt Marge, a perpetually sour widow with a knack for unsolicited advice, zeroed in on her immediately. "Emily, still no ring on that finger?" she said, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "At your age, I had 2 kids and a mortgage. What are you even doing with your life?" Emily forced a smile, the same one she perfected over years of these interrogations. She just needed to make it through dinner. That was the plan. But peace wasn't in the cards. As she set the table, Tyler sauntered in, tossing another jab. "Still doodling for a living, huh? Guess some of us don't need real jobs." Before she could respond, Rita chimed in from the kitchen. "Oh, Emily, don't be so sensitive. A real woman knows how to cook a meal, not just draw pretty pictures." The word stung, but Emily took a deep breath, clinging to her resolve. She'd spent too long letting them define her worth. She wasn't that girl anymore. Dinner prep only cranked up the heat. The turkey was dry, the mashed potatoes were lumpy, and the air buzzed with unspoken grudges. Aunt Marge leaned over, her tone dripping with judgment. "You know, Emily, when you moved to Austin, it's like you abandoned us. Family sticks together." Tyler snorted, piling on. "Yeah, too good for Kerrville now, huh?" Emily clenched her fork, her pulse racing. She wanted to scream, to tell them she'd left to save herself, not to spite them. But before she could, Rita swooped in with her classic guilt trip. "Can't you just try to get along, Emily? It's Thanksgiving. Stop making everything so difficult." That was it, the final straw. Difficult? Emily's voice trembled as she stood, her chair scraping the floor. "You think I'm the problem here? All I've ever done is try to keep this family from falling apart, and all I get is this." The room went silent, every pair of eyes locked on her. Tyler smirked, but Rita's face hardened. "Don't you dare raise your voice at me," she warned. Emily shook her head, grabbing her coat. "I'm done. Happy Thanksgiving." She stormed out, the screen door slamming behind her, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. She didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning. Emily's pickup rattled as she sped away from the Kerrville ranch house, her heart pounding louder than the engine. The cool November air whipped through the cracked window, but it couldn't calm the fire in her chest. For the first time in her 28 years, she'd walked away from her family's Thanksgiving circus, no apologies, no looking back. As she merged onto the highway toward Austin, a strange mix of relief and adrenaline washed over her. She'd done it. She'd finally stood up for herself. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the end. Her family didn't let go that easily. By the time she pulled into her small apartment in Austin, her phone was already lighting up like a slot machine. She tossed her keys on the counter and glanced at the screen. 12 missed calls, a flood of texts, and 3 voicemails. She sighed, knowing she couldn't ignore it forever. The first voicemail was from Rita, her mom, and it was peak drama. "Emily, how could you do this to us?" Her voice cracked, thick with tears. "I slaved all day to make this holiday perfect, and you just walk out? What kind of daughter are you?" Emily rolled her eyes. It was classic Rita, guilt layered on thick, like gravy over lumpy potatoes. Next up was Tyler, her brother, and his tone was all venom. "Real classy, Em," he sneered in a text, running off like some spoiled brat. "You think you're too good for us, don't you?" Another message followed. Selfish as always. Hope you're happy ruining Mom's day. Emily's jaw tightened. She'd spent years bailing Tyler out, literally and figuratively, while he burned through cash on half-baked business ideas. And now she was the selfish one? She deleted the texts, trying to shake off the sting. Then her phone buzzed again, a longer message from Tyler that stopped her cold. You owe me, Em. Remember those loans I took out? I wouldn't be in this mess if you'd helped me when I asked. This is on you. Emily stared at the words, her mind racing back to 2 years ago. Tyler had begged her for $5,000 to launch his next big thing. She'd said no, tired of funding his delusions. He'd stormed off, calling her a traitor, and she hadn't heard from him for months. Now he was spinning it like her refusal had tanked his life? The audacity made her want to scream. Before she could process it, her dad, Greg, chimed in with a text of his own. It was softer, almost pleading. Em, things got heated tonight. We didn't mean half of it. Family's messy, you know that. Just call your mom, she's a wreck. Emily hesitated. Greg was always the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over Rita's outbursts and Tyler's tantrums. But his "we're family" card wasn't working this time. She needed space, not more excuses. The barrage didn't stop there. Aunt Marge left a voicemail, her voice dripping with sanctimony. Emily, Thanksgiving is about family, not your little tantrums. You've devastated your poor mother. You ought to apologize. Emily hit delete mid-sentence, her patience gone. But the real shock came an hour later, a group text from Rita to the whole family, including cousins and uncles Emily barely saw. I can't believe Emily walked out on us tonight, it read. After everything we've done for her, this is how she repays us. Pray for her, please. Emily's stomach dropped. They were airing this publicly now? She muted the chat, her hands shaking. As she sank onto her couch, the weight of it all hit her. She'd escaped the dinner, but the fight was far from over. Tyler's accusation about the loans gnawed at her false, but loud enough to make waves. And Rita's group text? That was a declaration of war. Emily closed her eyes, wondering what they'd throw at her next. She didn't have to wait long to find out. Emily woke up the next morning with a headache and a phone that wouldn't quit buzzing. She'd silenced most of her family's numbers the night before, but the notifications kept piling up, texts from cousins, a passive-aggressive email from Aunt Marge, even a "hope you're okay" from an old high school friend she hadn't spoken to in years. Word of her Thanksgiving walkout had spread like wildfire through Kerrville, and it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was a full-on smear campaign. She grabbed her coffee and scrolled through the latest damage, a text from her friend Kayla in Austin. Em, what's going on? Your mom's telling everyone you stole family money and bailed. People are buying it. Emily nearly choked on her coffee. Stole family money? The accusation hit like a punch to the gut. She'd never taken a dime from anyone, hell. She'd been the one lending cash to Tyler when his startups tanked. She called Kayla back, her voice tight. They're saying I stole? That's insane. What's Mom telling people? Kayla hesitated. She's been calling around, saying you walked out because you're hiding something. Like, money from your grandpa's estate or something. It's getting ugly. Emily's mind spun. Her grandpa had passed a decade ago, leaving a modest inheritance her parents always said was split evenly. Had they lied? The day only got worse. She ran to the Kerrville grocery store for supplies, and the cashier, an old neighbor, gave her a cold stare. Heard you've been stirring up trouble, Emily, she muttered. By noon, her inbox had a cryptic message from a distant uncle. You should be ashamed, turning your back on family like that. Emily's hands shook as she deleted it. This wasn't just guilt-tripping anymore. It was a coordinated attack. She blocked more numbers, but the weight of it all was suffocating. She needed answers, not more accusations. Then came the bombshell. Late that afternoon, she checked her mailbox and found an unmarked envelope, postmarked from Dallas. Inside was a handwritten note, short and shaky. Emily, it's Sara. Check Grandpa's bank records. There's stuff they didn't tell you. Be careful. Sara, her cousin who'd vanished 5 years ago after a blowout with Rita over family loyalty. Emily hadn't heard from her since, and now this? Her pulse raced as she reread the words. Grandpa's bank records? What could they be hiding? She tried calling Sara's old number, disconnected. A quick Google search turned up nothing. Sara was a ghost, but her note was a lifeline. Emily's gut told her this was big. She called her friend Tom, a lawyer in Austin who owed her a favor after she designed his firm's logo for free. Tom, I need you to dig into something, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos in her head. My grandpa's estate, can you check if there's anything weird? Like, Money that didn't get to me. Tom paused. That's a tall order, but I'll see what I can find. Give me a couple days. She thanked him and hung up, her mind racing. If her family was lying about money, it'd explain the smear campaign, keep her on the defensive so she wouldn't dig. 2 days later, Tom called back, his tone grim. Emily, you're not gonna like this. Your grandpa left you $50,000 in a trust, set to kick in when you turned 25. It's gone. Someone cashed it out 3 years ago, and the signature on the withdrawal? It's your mom's. Emily's knees buckled. 50 grand, money she'd never seen, never even known about. Rita had stolen it, and now they were painting her as the thief? The betrayal cut deeper than any insult from Thanksgiving. She thanked Tom, hung up, and stared at the wall, fury building. They'd crossed a line she couldn't unsee. This wasn't just family drama anymore, it was war. Emily's hands trembled as she clutched the photocopy of her grandpa's trust document, the evidence of her stolen $50,000 staring back at her in black and white. For 3 days, she'd stewed in silence, replaying Tom's words, her mom's signature, the cashed-out trust, the lies. The smear campaign calling her a thief made sickening sense now. They'd flipped the script to keep her from asking questions. But Emily wasn't running anymore. She was done being the scapegoat. It was time to face them head-on. She texted her family, Rita, Greg, Tyler, and Aunt Marge, proposing a meeting. Neutral ground, she wrote. San Antonio, the Riverwalk Cafe, tomorrow at 2 p.m. We need to talk. She didn't mention the trust yet. She wanted to see their faces when she dropped the bomb. Rita replied first. Fine, but this better not be more drama. Tyler shot back. What now, Em? Another tantrum? Greg just said, we'll be there. Marge didn't respond, but Emily knew she'd show. They couldn't resist a chance to gang up on her. The next day, Emily arrived early, staking out a corner booth with a clear view of the door. Her stomach churned, but she steadied herself with a deep breath. She brought the trust papers and a recording of Tom explaining the legal details, her ace in the hole. The cafe hummed with chatter, tourists snapping photos by the river, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside her. At 2:05, her family shuffled in, looking out of place in the casual bustle. Rita's eyes were puffy, Greg's shoulders slumped, Tyler scowled at his phone, and Marge pursed her lips like she'd bitten a lemon. They slid into the booth, and Rita started before Emily could open her mouth. I hope you're here to apologize, she said, her voice quivering for effect. Walking out on Thanksgiving broke my heart, Emily. Greg nodded. We're family, kid. Let's put this behind us. Tyler smirked. Yeah, quit playing victim already. Marge just glared, arms crossed. Emily let them talk, her silence unnerving them. Then she slid the trust document across the table. Explain this. Rita's face froze as she scanned the page. Greg squinted, confused. Tyler's smirk vanished. Marge leaned in, then gasped. What's this nonsense? She snapped. Emily kept her voice calm, steel beneath it. Grandpa left me $50,000. It was cashed out 3 years ago, Mom. Your signature's on it. So tell me, why am I the thief in this story? The air thickened. Rita stammered. We thought you didn't need it. You were young, starting out, Tyler cut in, defensive. I needed cash for my business. It's family money, Em, not just yours. Emily's laugh was bitter. Family money? You stole from me, then smeared me to cover it up. I've got neighbors calling me a traitor because of your lies. Greg rubbed his temples. Emily, we didn't mean, she cut him off. Didn't mean to what? Lie for a decade? Frame me. Marge huffed. You're blowing this out of proportion. Always so dramatic. That's when Emily played her trump card. She pulled out her phone, hitting play on Tom's recording. The trust was legally hers. Withdrawing it without consent is fraud. The lawyer's voice echoed, cold and final. Rita paled. Tyler swore under his breath. Greg stared at the table. Marge sputtered. This is ridiculous. Emily leaned forward. Here's the deal. You return my $50,000, or I take this to court. Fraud's a big word, Mom. Think about it. Rita's eyes welled up. Emily, please, we're your family. But Emily stood, grabbing her bag. Family doesn't do this. You've got 1 week. She walked out, their stunned silence trailing her to the door. She'd given them a chance and a deadline. The ball was in their court now. Emily drove back to Austin from the San Antonio showdown, her mind buzzing but her heart lighter than it had been in years. She'd laid it all out, her grandpa's trust, the theft, the ultimatum, and left her family scrambling. For once, she wasn't the one apologizing or smoothing things over. The power shift felt electric, but she knew it wasn't over. They had a week to cough up her $50,000 or face a lawsuit, and Emily wasn't bluffing. She'd already emailed Tom the recording from the cafe, just in case. This time, she was playing to win. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. No texts, no calls, no tearful voicemails from Rita. Emily half expected them to storm her apartment with guilt trips, but the silence held. She used it to breathe, to reclaim her space. She dove into work, sketching new designs with a focus she hadn't felt in months. Her tiny apartment became a sanctuary, plants on the sill, music playing, no family drama seeping through the cracks. Friends noticed the change. Kayla swung by with pizza one night, grinning. "You look free, Em. It's about damn time." Emily laughed, and it felt real. Then, on day 6, her phone pinged. A bank alert. $50,000 deposited from an account labeled R. Harris. Minutes later, a text from Rita. "The money's there." "We're sorry, Emily. Can we talk? We miss you." Emily stared at the screen, the words stirring a flicker of old guilt. She'd spent her life craving their approval. Why did sorry still tug at her? But then she remembered the lies, the smear campaign, the years of being their punching bag. She typed back, "Thanks for the money. I need time." She hit send and muted the thread. No more games. The next twist came from an unexpected corner. Her cousin Sara, missing for 5 years, called out of the blue. "Em, it's me." Her voice crackled through the line. "I saw Mom's group text about Thanksgiving and figured you'd found the trust by now." Emily's breath caught. "Sara, where have you been?" "Why the note?" Sara sighed. "I left after Mom tried to guilt me into giving up my share of Grandpa's money. She pulled the same crap on me, called me selfish, turned the family against me. I had to cut them off." "You okay?" Emily nodded, though Sara couldn't see. "Yeah, I'm done too." Sara chuckled. "Good. Live your life, Em. They don't own you." That call was a lifeline. Sara's story mirrored hers, proof she wasn't the villain her family painted her as. The money hit her account, but the real win was clarity. She met Kayla and a few friends for a makeshift Thanksgiving redo. No dry turkey, no grudges, just laughter and a potluck spread. As they toasted with cheap wine, Emily felt something new. Peace. She wasn't tethered to Kerrville's chaos anymore. She'd build her own circle, one that didn't demand her soul in return. A week later, Tyler broke the family's silence with a public Facebook post. "Made mistakes with money that wasn't mine. Sorry to my sister Emily and anyone I hurt." It was short, stiff, and flooded with shocked comments from Kerrville locals. Emily smirked. Public shame was a fitting consequence. Rita followed with an email, longer and softer. "We were wrong to keep your inheritance, Emily. I was scared of losing you all, so I held too tight. Can we start over?" Emily read it twice, then archived it. Maybe one day, but not now. She'd given them enough chances. By December, Emily's design business was thriving. New clients, a promotion, a studio upgrade funded by her reclaimed $50,000. She signed up for an art class, rediscovering a passion she'd buried under family stress. Thanksgiving came and went, and she spent it with Sara, who'd moved to Dallas. They cooked, swapped stories, and toasted to freedom. Driving home that night, Emily smiled at the road ahead. She wasn't the fixer anymore. She was just Emily, and that was enough. Her family had faced the music, and she'd found her own song.